Hi, everybody. I'm Megan,
I'm Sage.
and you're with the Squeaky Floorboard Society. Sage, before we even get into anything else, the weather's terrible here. It's terrible for you as well.
Yep.
For those, we're going to date this episode, but by talking about this, but there were horrible tornadoes in Michigan last night. I don't know if you
hmm
saw those.
I did.
I was watching the storm on the radar because I'm a tornado nerd.
I am too.
And so I was watching it. Download WeatherWise if you guys don't already have that. They're not a sponsor or anything. They're just a good app.
It is a
And I
good
said,
app.
I said, Michigan looks kind of bad right now. That's a sizable hook. And sure, I was like, oh, correlation coefficient. There's debris. So then I tuned in. I tuned into Ryan Hall.
He's
I
always
don't know
the
if you
best
watch him.
one.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I
I
love him.
love him.
A- And I like that he gets so many people interested in weather.
I love
Uh,
Y'all Bot.
Yalbot was fucking up last night. She was fucking up.
Was
He
she?
had to reboot her. Yeah, he
Aw.
had to reboot her. But yeah, so prayers to the people out in Michigan because I last time I checked there were 5 people dead.
Yeah.
They're gonna rate that thing an F4. I'm putting it down now. They won't rate it an F5 even if it deserves it. I'm not sure it does, but the damage pictures that I've seen suggest at least F4. But even if it was an F5, they're not gonna rate it an F5
Yeah.
because they just had an F5 last year and they're real stingy with those F5 ratings. But, Sage, anything new with you?
You'll never guess what's happening to me again.
What?
I'm sick.
Oh my gosh, my mom is too. It's bad this year.
It feels like I have razors in my throat,
Oh, that's horrific.
which is why I'm wearing makeup today to counterbalance the dark circles and the puffiness of my face.
The Vicks cough drops.
I am using the ones that I swear up and down say enchilada on them. It doesn't. They're the
Oh, the
Mucinex.
Echinacea, something like that.
Yeah.
The Vicks VapoCool, like severe cough drops. Your throat and your tongue will be numb.
I think we've had this conversation the last time we were sick.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm telling you, go get them. I recommend them to everyone
I'm gonna
because
have to
I,
because
yeah.
I don't have any blowjob spray.
God, you used that. You're over here with blowjob spray. I've just got a Vicks VapoCool keeping me going.
I don't even know where. I guess I could order it on Amazon. I don't know why. I just prefer going in the store and being able to look at like the different ones. I don't know.
Do you ever just like to look at stuff? Like you have no intention of buying? I know
Yeah.
they call that window shopping. I just like to look at things in the store.
If you take me to a store here, I like will spend hours there because especially because I haven't been to half of them. I have
Right, like I
like three
fantasize
stores.
about buying stuff more than I buy it.
And I like to look at stuff that like I have the money to buy, but like, am I going to use it? No, maybe
Right,
once.
right. I have to go to Walmart later and get some stuff because I completely went cross-eyed when I went to scratch my like eyebrow. That was crazy. I saw that. And I saw that because one of my eyes went this direction. But um, we have company coming up. Technically not us. My mom's best friend, well, one of her best friends, is coming up from down south, and
Ooh.
she's gonna want to see my house because she's known me since I was before I was born. She knew me before I was born. They've been friends since they were small children. I was
Aw.
still in utero, and she was like, "Hey, Megan." But she's gonna want to see the house, so there's some things I need to pick up. Like I keep meaning to put a curtain up here behind my string lights. I think that'll look really nice, like a sheer one.
Ooh, that'd be pretty.
Yeah, I want to pick that up because not everybody needs to see inside my closet. I've decided.
I've got two closets in here that have messes in them.
What? Every time we record, I think about how much I like your built-in shelf.
I love all of them.
I love those. Those are so nice.
They are convenient. The one over there's got a printer on it. Um, and then Dennis has like an entire like floor to ceiling, like two in his
Oh,
office.
it's so nice that you guys have two offices.
Well, one mine's also like doubles as the guest room. Like my house
Mm,
guest from the last time we recorded, all of the bedding
yeah.
is still there. I need to wash it all, but
Oh. See,
it's comforters
I
and stuff
think
like that.
I've been trying to figure out how I could make this like a little. I could take that chair out. Now that I know I can't film on that side of my overhead light because I'd turn into a specter. Um, I could take that chair out and just put a really small bed over there, I guess.
I want to
If
eventually
I wanted
get
a guest room.
a like a because we got a new bed frame and our old bed frame was like just the wire ones that you could like pop apart. We're like we could just
Mhm.
put one in each office and then that's two full size beds. And then
Right.
we can just have that way he's got one in his office, I have one in my office if we have people staying over.
Right. No, that's nice. That's nice. You're gonna need somewhere for us when we come visit.
Yeah, because right now there's just a singular military cot over there, which is what my housemates slept in. But it's okay. They're going into the army,
It was
so
good practice.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, is he worried about like the stuff with Iran?
I don't know because he missed March's dispatch date, so he doesn't
Oh.
dispatch until September.
Oh, okay.
So
Hopefully it's all blown over by then.
hopefully,
Well, I have basically nothing except this shirt to talk about, which it's not a promotion or anything, guys. We're not popular enough for that. But I'm very excited. As I've mentioned before, I think on here, my favorite animal is the sea otter.
you
But
have.
it's hard to find sea otter merch. So I found this shirt. I'm wearing a shirt under it, guys. It's a short sleeve. It's the sea otter, and then you go to the back.
Oh, I
It
like
has sea otter facts.
that.
It has sea
I
otter
like
facts
that.
and pictures of little sea otters. And I looked at it when it came because I was like, I bet this is AI printed. Um, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that there were no misprints and there were no typos, and all the facts were
Ooh,
accurate.
ooh, I like that.
So I was very pleased. Not gonna tell people where I got it, not because I'm gatekeepy, but just because oh, my laptop is unplugged. I'm gatekeepy and a bitch. Just because it's just a it's fast fashion. I don't I don't want to seem like I support fast fashion, even though I definitely buy from them. But in my defense, not a lot of disposable income over here right now,
Yeah, I feel that.
and you're not finding this at the thrift.
No.
Also, thrifting in my town fucking sucks.
Oh, it
There's
does.
nothing.
It
There's
does.
nothing. People are like, you can make cute. Not at my thrift store. It's like moo and shit, and that's
Yeah.
it. Which I love a good moo, but
I
where are you
can't
guys finding this shit?
I can't take that and make it a super cute outfit that I'm gonna wear every
No,
day.
no, not unless everyone gets real cool with a lot of stuff real fast, like me wearing a moo out to Walmart every day.
Knowing
Even
the
I even
town
tried
that you live in, not
honestly.
that
At least they're not.
strange.
At least they're not Cookie Monster pajama pants. I'm sick of those hoes.
Yeah.
Um, I even tried going to like the college town, and there was just the Goodwill up there is atrocious because I think there's so many resellers and girlies who do Depop up there that they just buy all the good shit, and there's nothing left for anyone
What
else.
you do is the day that the week of like college move out, go.
That's the only time that I go. Cuz I'll tell you what, and this is crazy. All the kids that like come in from other countries, they'll just leave. You don't even need to go to thrift. You can go to the dumpsters there.
Mhm.
They'll just throw everything out.
That is true as well.
They'll throw there there was a girl I knew who found like back when like Coach was still like a prestige brand and not something you could buy on the Walmart website.
Yeah.
Um she found a Coach bag. Like a nice ass mint damn near mint condition Coach bag. People find shoes. I have a hard time with that kind of stuff, which I have a hair stuck to my face in case you're wondering what's happening.
You have is it cat hair or your hair?
God only knows. But also, you have to be careful when you're my size. I'm very short.
Get stuck in a dumpster.
I well, no, I just mean in general, like thrifting is hard to begin with when
Yeah.
you're if you're excessively large or excessively small, you're going to have a hard time thrifting or dumpster diving. That's why this is gonna sound crazy, but I like, you might cut this out, I don't know. I don't think this is untoward because it's just well known that Asian countries have different sizing than we do,
Yeah.
and that Asian people are statistically shorter than Americans. I love when Asian kids from IU, I'll just say IU. Like that's one of the few colleges around here. I
Yeah.
could live anywhere in the vicinity of IU and no one would be any the wiser. I love when like all the Asian kids leave their stuff and they
That
just go throw it at the nearest Goodwill or throw it in a dumpster. I'm like, "Yes, pants that are my size."
well, and to be fair, there is a huge Asian population up there.
There is. There is.
So, I don't
And
think that's untoward or
that's
anything.
that's one of the reasons that I seriously considered moving to like an Asian country. And I know that sounds really shallow, but just Uh, I'm sure you can attest to this too. Sizing has changed so much
Hmm.
over the past few years. Everything has gotten so long. I cannot find clothes anymore. It's ridiculous.
Your only other option other than moving out of the country or buying out of the country, which is expensive, is just becoming a full-on seamstress.
Which that behind me, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it. That thing I have my books on behind me. That's a Singer sewing machine. I have to that I got from my grandmother. It's the kind with the foot pedal.
Ooh,
And I have to order a new like needle and presser foot thing. And then I need a new bobbin.
okay.
But if I can get that fixed up, I can start learning to hem.
Which will make your life a little bit easier.
Yeah. People think that it's just pants. It's shirts too. This area on me is shorter than this area on somebody who's taller. So something that sits here on somebody is gonna sit here on me.
Yeah.
I don't need my titties out, y'all. But that's I said that the shirt was all I had, and then I went on a rant about how long clothes are getting.
You're good.
Sage, do you have anything else today?
No, I can't think of anything else. I'm
All right.
excited.
I've bitched and complained about this stupid episode for weeks now because
You
I've been
have,
working on it for weeks.
and I'm excited to hear what you have.
So, we've been to the great state of Texas before on this podcast, and we are making a return trip today. Have you ever seen the film The Town That Dreaded Sundown or heard of it?
No, is it like a sundown town?
No.
Okay. I was like,
It's a horror movie. It's a horror movie about, well, I guess a town about a sundown town, a movie about a sundown town would also be a horror movie. But this it's an older horror film. And it was inspired by a real case that took place on the Lovers Lanes of Texarkana. Today, we will tell the tragic tales that took place on those isolated roads and do our best to separate fact from fiction since so much of this case has become dramatized. Today, we will showcase the terror of the moonlight murders committed by the Texarkana Phantom.
ooh, is this serial killer?
This is a serial killer. I
I'm
feel
so
normally normally, I don't cover true crime stuff.
no. I love true
I
crime.
tend to shy away from it, but this one to me is so interesting because I genuinely think, well, I'll tell you what I think about this at the end, but one, it's older, so I feel a little more comfortable with it. And two, it's so talked about to begin with. I think sometimes true crime people can get can be a little rude. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Sorry, I'm
Uh,
so excited now. I'm locked in.
So let's get into some of the history of Texarkana first. Texarkana was named for its location on the Texas and Arkansas border, as well as giving the nearby state of Louisiana a nod. That's Texarkana.
I love it.
Before becoming Texarkana, the Caddo tribe occupied the land. Today, there are over 70 burial grounds left by the Caddo as a reminder of their tribe's presence located in or around Texarkana. I wondered while doing research if Dogman has made a stop there yet to see those.
Ooh.
The city was established on December 8th, 1873, and in 1876 it was granted an official charter from the state legislature. By 1896, the town was fully fledged with gas, water, and electric utility works, 4 newspapers, schools, a sewer system and plant, as well as various factory and machine workings and a hotel. In 1907, Texarkana was granted a new charter to give it city status. Many of the town's residents worked for the railroad, and as the Texas and Pacific Railway Company were highly involved in the town and had built a railroad along the Texas side of town. In fact, by 1948, Texarkana was the junction of four very important railroads. Despite a short recession during the Great Depression, the tides turned during World War II with the creation of the Lone Star Army Ammunition Plant and the Red River Army Depot. To be entirely transparent for the sake of context, the fact that this town was a railroad junction meant that there was some really seedy stuff going on.
Hmm.
People passed through constantly, and there were definitely bad parts of town. Crime was not a rare occurrence in the 1940s, and violent crime was not entirely uncommon either. Still, most of Texarkana was fairly safe, so long as you didn't stray into bad areas or do anything stupid. Skipping to today, modern Texarkana does well as an agricultural center growing crops like corn, cotton, and soybeans. They also produce livestock and have various industrial sites catering to things like lumber and paper products. An interesting fact about the government of Texarkana is that while it is designated as one city commercially, the Texas and Arkansas sides both have their own mayors and councils. Since it is comprised of both Bowie County, Texas, and Miller County, Arkansas, this kind of makes sense. Now that we have a quick history, let's stroll back to the Lover's Lanes of 1946 and delve into the mystery of the Moonlight Murders. So, here we're going to get into the murders, and not everybody in this section was murdered, which sounds not right, but there's a few survivors in this case, and we'll see why why their testimony was basically not super helpful.
Okay.
And it's not their fault.
Okay.
So, the first attack. It was February 22nd, 1946. Jimmy Hollis, 25, and his girlfriend, Mary Jean Larry, 19, were parked on a lover's lane after seeing a movie together. Around 11:55 p.m., a man walked up to the window and shined a flashlight into Hollis's window, limiting the couple's visibility. To be fair, they wouldn't have seen much anyways. The man had on a mask that seemed to be a sack with eye holes cut out.
That's
I don't like, yeah.
yeah. Don't like that.
Hollis told Hollis told the man that he had the wrong person, to which the man responded, "I don't want to kill you, fellow, so do what I say." Both were ordered out of the car, and Hollis was told to take off his pants. After he complied, their attacker hit him in the head with his firearm twice, fracturing his skull. Larry attempted to get their attacker to leave by showing them that their wallets were empty, but he didn't want their money. He hit her with some blunt object and then ordered her to run. Larry attempted to flee into a ditch but was ordered further up the road. The man caught up to her and asked her why she was running, to which she responded that he had told her to do so. He called her a liar. He then knocked her down and, unfortunately, at this point, trigger warning, he sexually assaulted her with the barrel of his firearm. He left after doing so, and Larry was able to flee to a house about half a mile away to phone the police. Hollis had also regained consciousness during this time and had flagged down a passing driver. Sheriff W.H. Bill Presley and three other officers arrived at the scene to investigate, but found no attacker and little evidence. Larry was sure that their attacker had been a light skinned African American man, while Hollis thought him to be a tanned white man. And I want to say that that's so impressive that they could know that in the dark
I was
while
getting
he
ready to
had a
say.
mask on, and also it was such a similar description.
Okay.
In either case, the sheriff believed they may have known their attacker and were covering for them. Which, given later events as well as the situation, sounds just fucking absurd. And they repeatedly challenged Larry's account of events. Why did the police feel this was necessary? Well, Hollis was separated from his wife, and Larry was recently divorced, so they thought maybe someone wasn't happy about their coupling up. Mainly, they believed their attacker may have been Larry's ex husband and that she was covering for him. Hollis would spend several days in the hospital for multiple skull fractures, and Larry would spend the night for minor injuries. So, starting off, this is not going well because the police don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And they just basically call them both liars.
It
They
sounds.
don't question Hollis so much, which I find strange because if he was only separated from his wife instead of fully divorced like Larry was, then maybe his wife would have more to gain by hiring somebody to do this or having one of her family members do this.
Yeah.
But like, oh, you want to find a new bitch? I'll show you. But either way, I mean, misogyny, right? It's the 1940s.
Literally.
So that brings us to the first murder. On the evening of Saturday, March 23rd, Richard Griffin took his girlfriend Polly Ann Moore to the movies. Uh, Stay with me through the duration of this sentence. Griffin was a 29-year-old Army vet who had recently been discharged, and Moore was a 17-year-old early high school graduate working in a factory.
This is the 40s, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Despite the obvious issue with this relationship, no one seemed to really bat an eye at it. So after seeing their movie, Griffin drove to a local lover's lane so he could become qualified for prison. I assume we all know what I mean by that. Um,
It took me a second,
uh,
but I got there.
but on the morning of Sunday, March 24th, a passerby reported a parked car on the same lover's lane, and police went to investigate. Both Griffin and Moore were inside of Griffin's car, but evidence pointed to Moore actually being killed on a blanket outside the car. Griffin was kneeling in the front seats with his head in his hands, while Moore had been tossed into the back seat face down. Rumors at the time said she had been sexually assaulted, but there wasn't any evidence of that as neither body was examined by a pathologist or lab, and even the FBI was unsure. And we know the FBI was unsure about it because I read through a gazillion pages from their files about it. Modern forensics also refutes this, but I couldn't really find their basis for why they think that.
So was he
Um,
positioned and she wasn't?
so we don't know how he ended up in the seat with his like between the seat and the dash with his like head in his hands, but we do know that Moore was killed on a blanket outside of the car and then the attacker threw her in the back seat.
Okay.
Both had been killed via a shot to the head, but Griffin was shot twice. A 32 caliber cartridge was found wrapped in a blanket, possibly after being ejected from a pistol. Upon hearing of the murder, Larry, or maybe it's Larry, uh, actually came back to offer to help in the investigation, believing that their attacker may be the same person. And she was turned away by police who still believed she was covering for her ex husband, and so the two incidents were completely unrelated.
That's such bullshit.
So, good job, guys. You've already botched your investigation a little bit. But they would soon realize that it probably was connected and that they were dealing with way more than they thought. On April 14th, 15-year-old Betty Jo Booker was spending her Sunday night playing saxophone for a local band as they played at the VFW. When the musical performance ended, she was picked up by 17-year-old Paul Martin. These two are a little bit different because they weren't actually a couple, but instead were really good childhood friends. Betty Jo had promised Paul that they could hang out after the performance if he picked her up. See, Paul had moved away a couple years prior and hadn't gone to see her.
Okay.
And so he was going to pick her. She had a really busy schedule. She was a student. She was playing in this band. So they decided they'll hang out after the performance.
They're like almost the same age, correct? I missed her age, but I got his
Yes.
age.
So she's
Okay.
she's 15 and he's 17.
Okay. Damn, she's
Even if
busy
they
girl.
Yeah, even if they were a couple, it would have been fine unlike our last couple.
Yeah.
Which I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that they deserve to be killed by the Phantom for having a giant age gap. Polly Ann Moore definitely didn't deserve that. So Betty Jo had promised Paul that they could hang out since they hadn't seen her in a few years, and it seemed like Paul was maybe more excited to see her than she initially realized. Like maybe he did have some feelings. Since they did end up parked on a lover's lane. It is 100% possible that they were just hanging out there. But I do want to point out that they were indeed parked there.
Okay.
So they left the VFW around 1:30 a.m., and that was the last time anyone saw them alive. The body of Paul Walker was discovered lying alongside a lonely country lane at around 4 or 5 a.m. He had been shot in the shoulder and the head. Betty Jo Booker was found on the roadside a good distance away. She was on her back, fully clothed, and had been shot in the heart and the face.
So this
Secretions. Go ahead.
so on the first one, the girl had only been shot once and the guy was shot twice, but this time both were shot twice.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I got that.
So she was on her back. We already went through that. Secretions found both on her underwear and herself suggested she had been sexually assaulted, and tests on Paul revealed that he was not the culprit.
Okay.
So the Phantom has now exhibited sexually predatory behavior a second time. The car was found a ways away from both of them. Investigators believe that Paul Martin was shot while in the car and then was removed while Betty Jo Booker was killed outside the car. Investigators, media, and the general public immediately connected the killings of the two couples, but it was not initially considered that the first attack was connected as well. The gun used in both attacks was believed to be a Colt, and the bullets and cartridge cases from both murders were determined to have been fired from the same gun, and there were matching latent fingerprints found, although they could not be matched to anyone.
Okay.
Um, I want to point out that looking through these files, the FBI ran fingerprint tests on just an outrageous number of people.
Really?
I mean, pages and pages and pages and pages of we tested these people, we tested these people's prints, male, female, black, white. They were just testing everyone, I think.
Wow.
Like that's part of what took me so long was there would just be pages and pages of stuff like that.
Do you want to know a really fun fact about my family real fast?
Yeah.
Oh, one of my ancestors was killed on Oliver Lane.
Were
He
they killed in
was
Texarkana?
I don't know where. I think it was in the town that you currently live in.
Oh, I didn't know we had one of those here.
Yeah, we used to. And he was sleeping with a married woman.
That'll do it.
Yep.
So that brings us to the third murder. Sage's uncle. I'm kidding. Um, the next incident is a little different, though.
Okay.
This one doesn't take place on a lover's lane or where teenagers are trying to have some fun. Instead, it takes place at the home of a couple in their 30s.
Aw.
It takes place at the home of Virgil Starks, 37, and his wife Katie Starks, 36. Another very age appropriate couple. I was so hung up on that age gap while doing the research. Like I understand it was what is it,
Yeah.
1946?
Yeah.
But oh my god. Y'all were just cool with that? So around 9 p.m., Virgil was reading the paper in his armchair. Me too. He was resting on his heating pad due to a long-term back injury.
Aw.
This is the most relatable man in the world, by the way. He was shot in the head, in the back of his head, through a double closed window, but didn't immediately die. Instead, when Katie came in upon hearing glass break, he stood up and then collapsed. So Katie realizes he's dead and attempted to run to the phone in the kitchen, but was shot in the face twice through the same window. One shot passed through her cheek and the other shattered her jaw, lodging under her tongue. She fell, made her way up again, and went for the pistol that they kept in another room, but she couldn't see through all her blood. When she heard the shooter approach the back of the house, she realized the coast was clear out front and fled through the front door and ran to her neighbors. So, Katie Stark is a badass, first of
Yeah.
all. She got shot in the face twice, and her first thought was, I gotta shoot this guy. Let me get the blicky. And not only that, but if I had been shot in the face twice, there is no way that I'm having the
Coherent
wherewithal.
thoughts.
Yeah, like the wherewithal to maybe to get a gun because like it's on my mind,
Yeah.
but because I've just been shot. But she thought, oh, I hear this person around the back of the house. I'm gonna go out the front. That means the coast is clear out front. Like you're
That's
so smart, girl.
literally because I don't think I think I would just be sitting there panicking.
Right. So the neighbors rallied and took her to the hospital. Interestingly enough, the neighbor whose house she runs into summons the other neighbors by firing a shotgun into the air. But it is Texas.
Yeah.
So they take her to the hospital and she is treated and she survives and makes a full recovery. She was also able to recount the events to police and was also able to discredit a rumor that her husband had been in fear for his life after hearing a car circle their house several nights in a row. As far as she and her husband knew, this was entirely random. The shots were fired from an automatic weapon and were 22 caliber. So make note of that. What was the caliber in the other
It was a
events?
22, right?
No, a 32.
Okay.
32 caliber, and this is a 22. Those were shot from a Colt pistol. This was shot from an automatic weapon.
But but they've all had or well, we know for a fact this one probably had a silencer because it didn't.
We don't know.
But they would have heard, or she would have heard the gunshot. She wouldn't have heard.
I don't know if she heard the gunshot or
Okay.
not. We know she heard the glass break, but this is not like it's possible that she was in an area that she wouldn't necessarily think about hearing gunshots.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm not 100% sure where their house was. I don't know how rural it was. But, her neighbor's first thought was to shoot a gun in the air when she came over there. So maybe gunshots are normal.
Yeah. But if he did that to arouse the other neighbors, it
Right.
seems like when they first shot into the house, that would have
Right.
caught the
I
attention.
don't
So I'm
I don't know
assuming a
if the police
silencer.
it's totally possible. I don't know if police just didn't or the FBI didn't write it down because it was assumed.
Okay.
So we're gonna get into the suspects now. And the
Okay.
FBI looked into a lot of people for this case. A lot. There
Okay.
were at least 4 or 5 pages, page length long, in FBI records of people whose fingerprints they compared to the latent prints. Like, it's probably more than that. Because at some point I just went, I'm just skipping these pages.
Yeah.
I'm filtering this information. They even looked into women, despite the attacker likely being male. However, there ended up being only a few. Oh my gosh. The rain is making me tired.
I feel that.
There ended up being only a few suspects that the police took seriously or looked into further. And we're going to go through them from what I consider least likely to most likely.
Okay.
These are just the suspects that you find mentioned. Um, so, Sammy is a pseudonym for one of the suspects who was completely ruled out. He was considered when his vehicle's tire marks were found across the road from Paul Martin's body. While he initially failed a polygraph test, psychiatrist Travis Elliott hypnotized him and determined that he was actually innocent. Good old Travis. So, do you want to know why he failed the polygraph?
Why?
He failed the polygraph because he was having an affair and he wanted to conceal it, and that's why his car was parked there. Police were able to confirm all of this, so they released him.
Love it.
Yeah. And so they gave him the pseudonym Sammy because he was a citizen and otherwise good standing.
Okay.
Now, some of the records said he was married, and some other ones that I found said that the woman was the one who was married.
Either way, somebody was married.
Somebody, maybe one, maybe both were married, and they're like, yeah, not really our business, like releasing this dude's personal affairs.
Yeah.
Quite I mean that literally. So we're just
That's
gonna,
fair though. At least
yeah,
they weren't just like, oh, we're gonna release all of this.
right. That was nice of them. I bet that lady was really happy they didn't release it too.
Yeah.
So then police questioned an unnamed man trying to sell a saxophone, since Betty Jo Booker's saxophone had not yet been recovered. They
Okay.
found a bag of bloody clothing in his room, but no saxophone. The man had fled the store when questioned by the store manager about the origin of the saxophone, prompting him to call the police. However, the man was cleared, and Betty Jo's saxophone was eventually found in the underbrush near where her body had been found. It took them a good while to find the saxophone, though, I'm not gonna lie.
So why did he run out when questioned?
I'm gonna guess he stole it.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess he did indeed acquire the saxophone through illegal means, just not murder illegal.
Okay.
An unnamed German prisoner of war who had escaped was also considered by police. He had already stolen a car and tried to buy ammunition in several towns, but police never found him. That's all we
Okay.
got on that guy. I think that guy's probably more likely than the saxophone guy,
Yeah.
but, Less likely than the other guys.
Okay.
The Atoka County suspect was considered after assaulting a woman in her home and telling her that he may as well kill her since he had already killed 3 or 4 people. While police did eventually arrest a man that they believed was the culprit for this particular crime, they did not believe he could have been in Texarkana at the time Virgil Starks was killed.
Okay.
Keep that in mind too.
Do we have a name for him?
No,
Okay.
he's just called the Atoka County suspect.
Okay.
Ralph Bauman was a former Army Air Force machine gunner. He was 21 years old and claimed he had exited a fugue state. Do you know what a fugue state is? I assume you do because you do psychology.
I know there's a couple different ones as well. So are you talking about the
Right.
one where, uh, like, another we call it sometimes it's called dissociative, where it's like
Yeah, he basically had an episode where he couldn't remember where he'd been.
like an
He was yeah,
amnesia.
he was just living life, no idea what happened. Or so he says.
Okay.
So he turned himself in,
Oh.
believing himself to be running from murder because he had a feeling that he was running from something and he was worried it might be murder.
Oh.
However, it was determined that his story didn't line up with the facts, and a lot about Bauman in particular is hearsay for some reason. But at the end of the day, it was definitely not him, and there is indeed a theory that he made the whole thing up for attention because he was trying to become a Hollywood stuntman. We do know he was trying to become a stuntman, but whether or not he made it up for attention,
I feel like that would not get you roles.
I don't know. Hey, that guy we're thinking about hiring for that stunt scene. They thought maybe he did a murder once. Or maybe they're like, man, this guy's such upright moral character. He was worried he killed somebody. We should hire that guy. Maybe that was his aim.
Maybe.
So Henry Doody Tennyson, his nickname was Doody, Doodie.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know why his parents hated him so fucking much.
I don't either. Because my
Was an
Lanta.
eight. He was an 18-year-old university freshman who played in the same band as Betty Jo Booker.
Okay.
He entered police's radar when he killed himself, leaving behind a note stating that whoever could open the lockbox in his room would find out why he killed himself. And rather than waste time figuring out how to open the lockbox, police just busted it open. Inside, there was a note saying that he had killed himself due to guilt from the double murders he had committed. He confessed to being the Phantom in that note. However, another note he left directly contradicted this, saying all his reasons for his suicide should be discarded, as he was merely unhappy and wished to not be a burden on his family. Police were unable to find any real evidence linking him to the killings, and a friend of his said they were playing cards at the time of the murder of Betty Jo Booker. So they'd hung out after the VFW thing and were playing cards.
Okay.
Um, It's also worth noting that Tennyson was obsessed with detective novels and crime, which may have influenced him to seek notoriety before passing, and is also probably why he set up a stupid lockbox system.
Okay.
But so my thoughts on him are little, little iffy. I don't really think he would be capable of committing those crimes based on everything. He's kind of a nerd. He just
My thing is why
he
write a
plays in
letter,
a band.
but like, why would you say that you were, and then have a whole another letter that says disregard everything that I've said?
Yeah. So his family was pretty well off, from what I understand. And his brother actually came out and said, "I think my brother just did this after he like knowing he was going to kill himself because of those stupid detective novels."
Okay.
Like he's the one who basically was like, "Yeah, I think my brother just wanted notoriety."
Okay.
Um, but it's also totally possible, I guess, that because his family had influence and money that they were covering for him. Although I don't know what it would matter if he's already dead.
Yeah. Other than
Maybe you
just like
guys
protect the family name,
Right. Well, you know what? You should have thought about if you wanted to protect names, you should have thought about that when you gave your son the nickname Duty.
literally. Because what the fuck?
That would if not to make light of the suicide of a young person because it's absolutely tragic. Um, but maybe what he should have wrote on that note was, "I did it because you gave me the name Duty," because that's what I would have written.
Same.
I'd have guilted the fuck out of them.
Who the fuck names their kid? I'm sorry.
Like you're giving your son the nickname Duty?
What the fuck?
I can't imagine. I get he had friends clearly. So 1940s were just a different time, I guess. Can you imagine if I gave my son the nickname Duty and sent him into the world?
I would have charged you with a crime. I don't know what crime.
You're going to jail. Child abuse. Be a form of child abuse. So now we're gonna get to the most well-known suspect and who most people think it was.
I'm excited.
Except I won't say it yet. The most well-known suspect was Ewell Swinney. Swinney was the son of a Baptist minister who, instead of following in his father's footsteps, had chosen a life of crime. At the age of 29, so the same age I am now, he had already been convicted of car theft, counterfeiting, and burglary on more than one occasion by the time that police eyed him as a potential suspect in the Texarkana case. Average person from our town.
Literally.
He was arrested during an investigation into local car thefts when one of the officers realized that a car had been stolen on the night of the Griffin Moore murders, and there was also a previously stolen car that had been found in the area. In fact, this pattern repeated on the night of every murder, it would turn out.
Ooh.
Technically, they didn't arrest Ewell. His wife Peggy was arrested first when she came to retrieve another stolen car. So
Okay.
she's stealing cars too, right? She was questioned by police. She had only been his wife for one day at this point. They had gotten married the previous day. Imagine you get married to a guy and the next day they're like, "Hey, is your husband the Phantom?"
That. Oh wow.
So Peggy actually ended up confessing that Ewell was the Phantom and described the murders in detail. However, her story and the details changed across retellings, as did her role in them. In some, she seemed a more reluctant accomplice than in others. Despite police being able to verify a couple of details that Peggy had told them, such as where the possessions of certain victims were discarded, and the mounting circumstantial evidence, the crux of the prosecution would ultimately be Peggy's confession. And this ended up being a problem for a couple of reasons. One is that she recanted it. Two, she could not be compelled to testify against Swinney since they were married.
Yeah.
And three, it was clear to everyone involved in the investigation that Peggy was not firing on all cylinders.
It doesn't
On
sound
top of
like it.
on top of that, she was a really heavy drinker, which greatly decreased her credibility as a witness. For all they know, she was tipsy when they brought her in for questioning. It was like, "Yeah, my husband's the Phantom.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure." So one of the greatest points in favor of Swinney being the Phantom is that upon finally being cornered by police on a fire escape, Swinney told him, "You want me for more than stealing cars. I will spend the rest of my life behind bars this time." And also later asked officers if he would get the electric chair. Despite being unable to create a compelling enough case to charge Swinney as the Phantom, investigators did believe it was him and felt he needed to be off the streets either way. They decided to charge him with car theft as a habitual offender, and he received life in prison, effectively ensuring that if he was the Phantom, he would no longer pose a threat. The case was fairly quick as Swinney pleaded guilty to the charges to avoid being charged with anything worse, as he was worried he would receive the death penalty if they convicted him of the murders. Swinney did not end up serving his full term and was released in 1973 due to a legal technicality in a prior conviction that was used in his habitual offender conviction.
Okay.
He died in a Dallas nursing home in 1994, taking any information he had with him, and I could not find anything further on Peggy Swinney.
Wow.
So, do I think Ewell Swinney was the Phantom? Not really. No, and a lot of other people don't either. For one, the crimes don't make sense. He was a habitual criminal, but not a violent one.
Yeah.
Gruesome double murders and sexual assault weren't really in his playbook. He liked to steal cars and commit fraud. Those are very different crimes.
Yeah.
Of course, some um some people's crimes do escalate, but if he was stealing cars the nights of the murders, why is he also I would think that he would have just stolen their cars.
Yeah.
Like the dude just wants to steal cars. So I don't it doesn't make sense to me.
And
And
the murder
go ahead.
stopped after that. The elderly, not the elderly.
After Virgil, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if it was just someone else that got caught for a crime that was
Well,
got locked up.
I've got more information here.
Okay.
So, and as for Peggy's confessions, if anything, I think Peggy may have known this information about the murders due to running in criminal circles rather than Ewell being the Phantom himself. Because they are both habitual offenders. Peggy, I believe he met Peggy in prison.
Okay.
So they know people that probably do commit more violent crimes. And even though none of them may have been the Phantom themselves, they're in the same circles that it's possible the Phantom was.
Okay.
And I also wonder if Swinney knew the police were looking to pin the murders on him when they came to arrest him. And that's why he said what he said about you want me for more than car theft this time. Because Ewell would have known about the murders, obviously. They were
Yeah.
big fucking news. And I genuinely think that was worried that they would do their best to push a conviction, whether they had the evidence to do it or not. This was not uncommon in policing back then, and quite frankly, it's not uncommon now.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It's not
And
uncommon now.
as someone who's been through the legal system as many times as he has, I think he just knew. I think he knew this is the end of the road for me. They wouldn't put this much effort into arresting me and tracking me down, and my wife was in questioning for days. You know, maybe I think this is it. They're going to try to pin these murders on me.
Yeah.
Another point not commonly mentioned online, but I think is super important, is that neither Ewell nor Peggy's fingerprints match the ones it found in either car.
Really?
No, yeah. Because if they'd been able to fingerprint them and match them, they would have 100% convicted Ewell. That would have been enough physical solid evidence, I think.
Yeah.
And I also don't. Here's another thing. I don't believe the Starks murder was related to the other attacks, and that's not an uncommon line of thought either. The gun used was different and the location was wrong, and I think police just lumped it in due to the timing of the attack.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Which brings us back to somebody who, if we look at the facts of the case as they are commonly presented, they don't seem like a very likely suspect. But I think the Atoka County suspect makes a lot more sense as a suspect when you don't consider Virgil Stark's murder part of this chain.
Okay.
Because he was discarded and ruled out as a suspect because he wasn't in Texarkana when Virgil Starks was killed.
But he was for the other ones.
And he has the right attack patterns, he has the right crime. Like he's committing the correct crimes. He broke into that woman's house and assaulted her.
Okay.
So out of all the people that the police pulled, I think he was probably the most likely guy out of their suspect pool. But I don't even know 100% that their suspect pool was that any of them were right. And I think it's also worth mentioning that the crime scene, especially of Virgil and Katie Starks, was just irrevocably tampered with during this investigation. A lot of the crime scenes were not properly processed. I don't remember about the cars as much and those locations, but we know other people stumbled across them before police did. Um, and forensic knowledge is just not what it back then was not what it is
No.
today. So it's possible that those fingerprints were from other people that weren't even involved, and that's why
Yeah.
they didn't match anybody. But also, the Starks home, especially, they brought in a Texas Ranger, and it was like a really flashy guy. And he would give female reporters that he thought was hot tours of the house. And they had this guy working on the investigation as one of their best and brightest.
He should have been fired.
Right. Right. Exactly.
What the fuck?
So, if you're well versed in true crime, you might have already realized the similarities of these attacks to another killer. Another very well known, well established killer, just not in the same area. And that's the Zodiac Killer.
Oh my god, I forgot about him.
And you wouldn't be the first to notice that. The mask is the same, the
Yeah.
modus operandi is strikingly similar. The issue is that these killings happened 20 years, and I looked it up, 1,864 miles apart. Is it possible that the killings in Texarkana stopped because the killer moved to California? Maybe.
Could be.
You can definitely make it from Texas to California in 20 years.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Even walking.
I was gonna say, even on foot, even with the Lamborghinis, the
You could make it in a
Shugattis.
month, I think.
Yeah, you could take your Chevrolets there. So it's possible, and various theories about it have been posited online. Which I think that that's a really interesting idea. There's no concrete evidence to link them, but I do see the similarities, and I think they
It,
are pretty glaring.
it could also be copycat. Like if the Zodiac Killer heard about this and then was like, well, I like that style.
I didn't even think about that, but you're so right. They could have heard about these killings and gotten the idea of the mask from that.
Yeah.
Slept on it for 20 years, or have just heard about it.
Yeah.
There's another option as well, and that is that this was a killer acting out as a moral enforcer, because he's targeting lovers' lanes, or a man who had some male troubles. And I think you might understand what I mean. If he can't get it up, no one else can either.
And there's a lot of I'm trying to think of how to word this. There's quite a few serial killers who didn't that aren't talked about as widely as like Bundy or Dahmer or Gacy,
Hmm.
where that was an issue that they had where they couldn't get it up.
Right.
And so when they would see couples at home together, they would force them to do things to each
Mhm.
other and then would instantly kill them right after.
Right. Yeah, it's not as uncommon as people think it is for these psychos to have. Well, and part of it for some serial killers is the killing is the sexual gratification.
Mm-hmm.
If this guy can't fuck, maybe he's killing people for sexual gratification. It's the only way he can.
Yeah.
You know? And the moral enforcer idea is really interesting too, because it is the 1940s. You're not supposed to be having premarital sex. That's and especially if you think about those theories, the Katie and Virgil Stark's murder is 100% not linked.
Yeah.
If you believe either of those theories, because that is a married couple in their home.
Yeah.
They're doing the most married couple shit imaginable.
I don't
He's on his heating pad reading the newspaper and she's in the kitchen.
yeah. I feel like they shouldn't have been a part of this. That is
Yeah,
what I feel
it's
like.
odd to me that they were. So, given that he targeted unmarried couples parked on lovers' lanes, he may have felt he was preventing the societal evil of premarital relations, or maybe he was taking out his inability to get hard on those who could. Either way, fun fact, the Moonlight Murders are the basis for the Hook on the Car story.
Is it?
That's loosely what inspired it. And if you don't know that story, do you live under a rock? Um, I actually watched the Lore Lodges episode on this. I was I was like, I thought I was completely done with my research, and then they dropped a video about this, and I said, "Oh shit, I trust their research. I'm gonna see if they have anything different." And they did have a couple of things different than what I had.
Okay. I remember you texting
Um,
me saying that you watched.
yeah, yeah, and I think that Aiden Mattis, the guy who hosts it, summed up the hook on the car door story best with Mandor hand hook car door. I'm sure you've heard that abominable retelling.
I love that.
And I'm really concerned by how easily I can type that phrase from sheer memory, if I'm being honest here. Mandor hand Mandor handhook car door is just it's one of those phrases that I don't think I could ever forget. Oh, another point to consider here is people also think it isn't random that 2 out of 3 couples killed in their cars had just left the movies.
I forgot they had pretty much.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's possible that the Phantom was an employee there, or worked nearby, or was even just using the movies as an easy way to pick couples to follow.
That would be an easier way to like.
Mhm.
But then it's like, how many couples did he follow? That just went
Right.
somewhere like to the store or
Right.
something.
Right, they just went home, you know?
And to
Maybe
me,
maybe he
that's
didn't
scarier.
maybe he oh, yeah, that is scary. I was gonna say maybe he just picked up on the vibes. He was like, "Nah, those people look miserable. They're probably married." Um, I wonder if they looked into because obviously I saw names of people they looked into, but they weren't necessarily like gone into in terms of
Okay.
who they were. I wonder how many of those worked at the theater.
Which would be a good
I would
place to
want
look.
I would want to see, if they disqualified everyone who worked at the theater.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to know if they did, because again, like you pointed out, that would be
Yeah.
an easy way to
Sometimes
pick your
serial killers
targets.
well, sometimes serial killers take jobs specifically because it makes what they do easy. John Wayne Gacy did that with the construction business.
BTK, I think, did too, if I'm correct.
I maybe no, John Wayne Gacy's was being a clown.
Yeah,
I BTK is who I'm thinking of.
yeah, where he
But John Wayne
worked.
Gacy being a clown also worked for him.
Yeah, because if I'm correct, BTK also did. Because he had. I might be mixing up my serial killers. He was the one that had the kill kits, right?
I think so,
Because
but he would lure men in on the promises of jobs, right?
no, I don't
We
think.
maybe
I
no.
think we're crossing so many serial killers in the same spot.
Somebody. I don't know. True crime's not really my thing, but I do know that a lot of serial killers take jobs to manufacture situations for them.
I'm gonna fact check myself on BTK.
The BTK killer was like supposedly a really nice, normal guy to everybody.
Yeah, like he
I
was
mean,
a
they all
father.
kind
He
of
was
are.
like he was a really good
Yeah.
father.
Like his
Um.
own kids were shocked.
Mhm.
I mean, to be fair, I'd be really shocked if like my dad got arrested tomorrow for being a serial killer too. Sage, I would not be that shocked if they picked up your dad for being a serial killer.
I
Not because I think your dad's
also
a bad, not because I think your dad's like a bad person or anything. It would just fit him. I could
it
just see him doing it.
would. It really would.
They'd be like, "Damn, there's no signs." Yeah, there's some.
Because there's one who he did something. It was Dennis Rader, which is BTK. I
Mhm.
think there was another one too where I think he worked for like phone companies or something like that,
Mhm.
and so he would travel the U.S. and he would stalk people while he was out and then bury these kits. And so I'm
Right.
pretty sure this is BTK. And he would when you'd get to those locations again, he would dig them up and then break into their houses and do.
Right. So, totally possible this person worked at the theater just to kill people, and then they, moved to California.
Yeah, which
Maybe the Phantom was something else entirely. Maybe it was someone they never suspected, or someone they did who got away with it. It's likely that we'll never know. But the case remains unsolved to this day, and due to the passage of time, it will probably never be solved, which
which
is
is
really
sad.
unfortunate. But if the internet sleuths haven't cracked this one by now, you know, because like there's so many cases where like people on the internet are like, yes, I 100% know who did it, even though it's technically unsolved. Like the Black Dahlia murders, we're pretty sure that we know the guy that did it.
Yeah.
That fucking doctor.
Yep.
Yeah, like his own daughter came out and was like, he definitely did it. Of course, she hated him,
Yeah.
as she should though. He was a terrible person. But I don't know. What do you think?
I feel like I can understand the Zodiac thing. I think that the Zodiac might be more of a copycat ish of this than anything. Um,
Mhm.
because again, as we've talked about, that's not unheard of.
Right.
But I feel like the guy that we definitely was in the ring with them, I feel like he might have been covering for a buddy. That's
Right.
just the feeling I get is that he had a buddy who was doing this and he kind of covered.
Right.
That's what I think.
I I don't think Yule did it.
I don't think he did.
Um, I think the more likely suspect out of everyone they interviewed is the Atoka County suspect, but we'll never know because they let him go due to their stupidity in including the Starks murder. Um, but I don't even necessarily think it was him because that lady, he didn't tell that lady those people that I killed in Texarkana on Lovers Lanes. He could have just broken into other people's houses and killed them.
Yeah.
I just think they didn't give due attention to him because they were so concerned with lumping in the Starks murder.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely that somebody either was going to break and enter the house and rob them, and it went wrong because Katie ran out and survived,
Yeah.
or somebody had beef with them that they didn't know about.
I can believe that. I don't think that Yule did it.
Yeah, right. I honestly think that it was probably somebody they never even suspected because I kind of feel like they centered so hard on Ewell Swinney because they didn't have anybody else.
Yeah.
I
I
You know what? Fuck it. It was Sammy. That was his affair was just a clever cover for the
so
murders. He was having an affair with the Phantom.
ooh. Here's the thing too is that like I don't know where I was going to go. Never mind.
Like, here's the thing.
I looked over to the closet and I thought I saw something and completely lost where
The
I was.
Phantom? Can you
Maybe.
I do want to talk about though how scary the concept of the Texarkana Phantom is though. You're just trying to get your dick wet and a guy shows up with a like the mask on. That's horrifying imagery.
Yeah.
I'm curious why he had Hollis take his pants off. That's never explained.
That is I forgot the Hall took his pants off.
Maybe he wanted to make sure Hollis didn't have anything in his pockets. That was one of my first thoughts. But now that you've brought up the fact that some serial killers will make couples do things together, that's also possible. And then he changed his mind.
Yeah. What's weird to
Or
me
it
is
was
that
it was her ex-husband and he wanted to be like, is this guy's dick bigger than mine?
I wonder if too if it's a possibility that like that definitely the first one with the couple that were
Mhm.
cheating, not cheating, whatever the fuck they were doing.
Right.
If it was that, but then the second one was a vastly different situation with a whole different killer. It just so happened that the MOs matched up.
In my mind, I don't think what's her name? Mary Jean Larray, I don't think she would have come back if she thought to like say something unless she thought that maybe it is her ex-husband and she thinks he's going on a killing spree now cuz she divorced him.
But that's what I'm wondering is because like if the first time it was and they were right and it was her ex husband and then her and the guy recovering, but then somebody wanted to try a hand at it, they would already kind of have like someone building a foundation.
Right. So are you saying it could be you're saying it's like a copycat?
Yeah. Where someone was like fascinated with the case and
Right.
then
Right.
utilized what they said
Right.
because while
I mean, I
everything
can see
matches
that.
everything matches up, but like the first two didn't get killed, but the second two
Right.
did.
I'm also like I can totally see that. I can also see it being her ex-husband continuing to actually kill people because he's mad he didn't kill actually get to kill her.
Yeah, that too.
So there's a lot of possibilities. They are tantalizing to think about. Unfortunately, the police fucked it up real bad, as usual in these older cases. I don't want to say as usual, because there are some cases where they really did do their damnedest,
As someone who
and they just didn't
is
have the tools.
fascinated with true crime, like
Hmm.
I listen to a lot of true crime stuff, I watch a lot of true crime stuff. They did better than LA typically does.
Do you know who they also did better than?
Who?
Do you know who LA? Do you know who LA does better than?
I have some
The
guesses.
Canadian Mounted Police.
Yep.
Since you are an Indigenous woman, you know how bad the Mounties are.
Guys, one of my like I don't want to say one of my Roman empires, but like a serial killer that I constantly think about is Picton.
Right.
I did a case on
Right.
him the first time we did the podcast.
Yeah.
I think that's the one of the very few Canadian cases I've looked into that the Royal Mounted Police actually kind of did what they were supposed to.
The like there like the Bart Schleier case cuz I I like unexplained I like when there's not necessarily crime. I like shit that's just genuinely unexplained. Bart Schleier's one of those cases, the guy that was a grizzly bear expert and then they said he was killed by a grizzly bear.
I know what you're talking about.
The Mounties just didn't even like look. They were just like, yeah, the bear probably got him. And his friends had to go up and they found all his shit. The Mounties are absolutely fucking horrible at police work. And they are so. Like, I don't remember her name. But there was a woman in Canada, an Indigenous woman, who met up with a guy and never came home. And the Mounties were like, she probably just ran away. They have a really bad habit of just writing off Indigenous women's murders, which is why we have the whole MMIW.
To be fair, so is the American justice system
Right.
as well.
But the Mounties will write you off if you're white too, so they're
Yeah.
especially bad. So, which maybe at some point we'll cover MMIW.
I have so many cases. I was scared to ask what the Supreme Court is, but I know what the Supreme Court is.
Just cut everything I said out, and just cut back in at what you just said. I was
Guys,
gonna ask what the Supreme Court is.
and you guys will live with that knowledge for the rest of the life that I almost asked that.
All right, let's just end it there.
I
Sage knows what the Supreme Court is, and we don't know who the Texarkana Phantom was.
oh, goodness. I'm blaming it
All
on the
right,
fact that I'm sick.
I'll take it. You've had too much cold medicine.
I have.
Anyways, guys, we will see you next week. Sage will have a great episode for you.